In this review, we're going to look at the original Superheroes variant of Flash Gordon from NECA. This version of Flash Gordon comes in a window box with a red color motif, the original Superheroes logo on the top, King Comics, number 2 in the series. You got some artwork of Flash Gordon at the bottom, Flash Gordon down here. You can see most accessories throughout the window in the box. Logo up top. Some product imaging on the back and other figures in the wave, showing Defenders of the Earth. Looking forward to getting Mandrake and Lothar. Little bio of Flash Gordon on the back of the box. Description of what comes in the box. This figure is based on the original depiction of Flash Gordon, Alex Raymond's True Masterpiece series. Original Heroes line of NECA figures levying tribute to the giants of comic books and pop culture. Includes a laser blaster, short muzzle flash, long blast effect, sword, sheath, and interchangeable head and hands. And we have Flash Gordon in a plastic tray. You can see all the accessories clearly now. You got the 2 different style blast effects, alternate hands, alternate head, gun, sword, and sheath. And we have Flash Gordon free from the plastic tray. Now we can see all his accessories clearly. And speaking of accessories, let's look at those right quick. First up, the alternate unmasked head, which we've seen before with the previous Flash Gordon. It's painted really nicely. Instead of painting the flesh tones this time, they actually made the flesh tones be the raw plastic, molded in plastic. So you can see on the previous Flash Gordon, same head sculpt, but the flesh tones are painted. Same with the hands. That's one thing with this Flash Gordon. We have one hand less than the previous one. Of course, we have the alternate heads to make up for that. On the new one, we get a trigger finger, a grip hand for the sword, 2 fist hands. On the previous one, we got the 2 fist hands, a grip hand, trigger hand, opposite trigger hand, and a grip hand on both sides. With the sword, it's the exact same sculpt, just different paint job. We have the nice metal blade, gold hilt and blue accents, black handle. On the previous one, it's more like a laser sword. Same sculpt as you can see though. The sheath is really nice. We didn't have a sheath on the other one because it's a laser sword. But the sheath works really nice. Sword slides in. Should have a spot on the belt where you can clip that. Yeah. Oh wow, that works really nice. And the belt's a new piece as well. We got a belt and a holster, which is basically kind of part of the figures. It's not really an accessory, but kind of is, since we'll hold our gun on that. It's a working holster. You can actually open it up. Speaking of the gun, we got a new gun. This is a sci-fi blaster. We had a sci-fi blaster before, but it's a different style. See, one got the grip all around the trigger. Completely different sculpts, but we got the same blast effects, just molded different colors. We got, instead of translucent blue, translucent yellow, and those should plug into the gun like so. There's a keyed notch for the sight of the gun. You slide that on, goes on. There you go. That, is that on the previous one? No, the previous one didn't have to have that keyed slot. Since it's different sculpt, it just slides over in the gun. So they did retool these a little bit to work with the new gun. Same with the small blast effect. Yep. Keyed slot for the gun sight. Those look good. And see how the gun fits in the holster. Fits really nice. And the key thing is now, can we close the holster with the gun in it? We'll need to go in a little deeper. Nope, the holster will not close with the gun in it, as far as I can tell. I really shoved that gun in there as far as it's going to go. That's unfortunate. So, We have an opening holster. The gun will go into the holster, but you can't close the holster when the gun's in there. When I took it out of the packaging, I was a little worried, concerned for a second. This boot was actually turned around kind of like this, turned around backwards. And where these have the proper ankle pivots, is easy to fix. It was displayed like this. I was like, darn it, I got two of the same lower legs. But luckily, it was just turned around backwards, and you can just flip the foot around. Worried about that since my mum rock came with two left lower legs. I had to exchange it. Let's go ahead and change out the hands so we can use the accessories. Actually, it's probably best to put the gun in the hand before we put it in the wrist. That usually works best a lot of times. I really like the colors on this Flesh Gordon. The reds are actually a little more vibrant, a little more something about it. This is almost like a metallic hue to it on the previous one, metallic sheen. This is like a more true bright red. I like it a lot. Has some really nice shading and airbrushing done to the muscle definition. All the recessed areas have received shading to really bring out the depth of the figure, the sculpt. They really learned a lesson too with paint and where to put paint on these newer figures. With a lot of previous NECA figures, they put paint everywhere. Their paints are beautiful, but don't paint joints. And they've learned that lesson finally. On this Flesh Gordon here, when I took him out of the box, this bicep swivel was stuck. This double joint elbow, the top one didn't move. I had like take it apart, pry it loose. Same with this one, heat it up, pop it off, move it. And I had one of the knees as well, same way. I still got to fix the boots. They don't seat properly. I don't know what's causing that. And like I said, they painted the joints. The joints are red and they paint it black. And it's just as soon as you move them, they starts flaking off the color. On this one, they've learned a lot of lessons on this one. They didn't paint the joints, the double jointed. There's no stuck bicep swivels, no stuck double jointed elbows. The hips move properly. And the paints are just beautifully done on this. The other new parts on the figure, we got the new head sculpt with the covered ear pieces. And the new torso. This is actually an all-new torso with the sculpted lines for the shirt collar and the disc around the neck. Like I mentioned before, we got the new belt piece with the holster where you're going to put their sword sheath. And I don't know if this was used on one of the previous figures. We got an opposite gun hand. But that's pretty much on the extent of the new parts. On the new gun, of course. I love the colors. I like the gold stripe down the pants leg. The paints are just really well done. The fit finish is a lot better on this one too. Hopefully, if we get to Mandrake and Lothar, they've got all these upgrades too. Changes they made to their production, not getting stuck joints. Speaking of, let's go ahead and just do the rundown articulation. The head is on a double ball peg. You get a little bit of movement inside that double ball peg, so you get up, down, good tilt, full 360. And how's the other head fit? Let me go ahead and just do a comparison real quick. They're the same size. Yes, they're the same size. And they did a sculpt well enough too where it looks like the same character. Looks up, down, tilt side to side, full 360 on the head. Disc in shoulders. A little tight. Can get you up to here. A full 360 at the shoulder. Bicep swivel. Double joint elbows. Hinge and swivel wrist. I wish the gun hand was a vertical hinge. It's a horizontal hinge. We got an ab crunch. Crunch forward this far back. There's a waist twist. He's got ball jointed hips. Kick up this far. Back this much. Can do the splits. And we got thigh rotation at the top of very much like the Master Universe Classics figures. Thigh rotations are at the top. It's hidden. You don't get the full 360 like Marvel Legends, but it's there. Double joint knees. Kicks up this far. Boot rotation. I showed that when this boot was backwards earlier. Hinged ankles, forward, back, ankle pivots, and toe hinges. This is one place where they didn't use the proper colored joints. I wish they made the ankles and the toe joints the same brown as the boots. But at least they didn't paint them where that paint's just going to flake off anyway. So that's just good, at least that part. Overall, this is a great looking figure. I love the updates, the colors, the scheme. Not familiar with this version of Flash Gordon. He's an older comic book version. Or I wasn't really real familiar with the Defenders of Earth. I know the movie better than I do anything else about Flash Gordon. Looking forward to grabbing one of those movie 2-packs inspired sets. There's comic book sculpts, but the color scheme, paint jobs are inspired by the movie. Hopefully we'll be able to find one of those. But it's a great looking figure. Said it'd been nice if they had a vertical hinge for the gun and for the sword hand. And they could have used brown pegs for their ankles, but at least they're not painting the joints anymore. The articulation's nice and smooth, nothing stuck. The flesh tone plastic looks really nice. The paint they used on the previous one is kind of pale looking. I think it was a nice upgrade using the flesh tone plastic. But anyway, thank you for taking the time to watch the review. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time.